one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trish, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brew? Here. Mr. Babylani?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of June 20th, 2016. If there's any corrections or additions?
I make a motion we approve the regular meeting notes for June 20th, 2016.
Support.
Mr. Babylani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions on the manifest 2016-12 for the amount of $457,157.56? Mr. Menegini?
I got one question here, Doc. Let me find it. Okay. Page 3, under Norway Fire Department funds, North Alert Fire Repeater upgrade 50%. Where's the other 50% coming from? Is that North Alert's paying 50%, the county or the townships? What's the deal on that, Ray?
The township, or the North Alert, the fire, and the police. It's actually a third.
Oh, okay. And then just a little note here. See, the total manifest is $457,000 between dental that we paid out for $3,100, workman's comp $43,000 for the year, liability insurance $180,000 for the year. That's about 49% of the $457,000. That's actually $226,000 for the insurances. Just making a little information known there. That's all I have.
Mr. Babylani, any questions?
Yeah, I got one for Ray. On the police department, the Norway Fire Tower, the rental, I thought we paid that, or is that separate? I thought there was a division there between the fire department, I take it it's up by the ski hill?
Yeah, that's,
And then the police, I thought we just paid that.
no, it's annual right at July 1st.
Okay. I would have swore, it's for both of them annually at that time, because I know we paid one about 2 months ago, because I questioned it.
I'll go back and check to see what you're questioning, or what we did a couple months ago. That was the same as what Lee, because it has fire and North Alert. That's the same amount. So that's the tower rental for the ski hill.
Okay, because
Mark,
as I know,
maybe
it
you're
was on
thinking
there once
about the
before.
other tower over here that we had to.
No, it was up there.
Oh, it was.
I'll double check for you.
On the fireworks, the $9,000, is some of that reimbursed from the collections that they were taking?
Yeah, it comes out of the
Okay.
fire fund.
Okay, that's all I have.
Mrs. Brew?
I have nothing.
Mr. Pop?
I have nothing.
I don't have a question. I just was looking for some information on our mapping for Pullman Engineering for $11,100. What does that give us?
What page is that?
Page 3.
That cost also includes Brighton Township and Waseda Township. We pay the bill to Coleman for the Empower, and then they are a part of our system, and they also contribute to that. So that's that online mapping that you get off the webpage.
Seems to me they were paying like $1,000 each, or is it $2,000 each?
I'd have to go back and look, and I don't want to give you a wrong number off the top of my head.
Because we went over that, I think, once before, and I thought there was an inequity. We're sponsoring it, we're paying the lion's share of it, and then
It does help us out. We have the lion's share of the information on it, and it comes down to the amount of work. And our portion also includes utilities, whereas the others are basically just property property information, whereas on our side, it also has an internal use as well as the public use. And the internal use has some more information and access for staff to use for utilities.
So the only question, do we have a motion then to approve the manifest 2016-12?
I'll make a motion, we approve manifest 2016-12 in the amount of $457,157.56.
Support.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Would anyone in the audience like to address the council on any agenda item? Other comment or topics can be approached at the, is this an agenda item? An agenda item? This is for the agenda items, no. Oh, okay, I'll wait. If not, we'll go to communications, resolution 2016-14. Correction requested for annexation of property is to do with the property down at Hanbury Lake. Mr. Anderson.
This particular issue is a number of months ago, we annexed the boat ramp area of the park so that we could manage and regulate that area. It's part of Hanbury. We got a letter back from the state that the legal description of the annexed property, there was a single typo, a footage typo, and when we look back, they were correct. It was an old print, an old survey print, and we had erroneously thought that a 3 or an 8 was a 3, and when you looked at it, it was an honest mistake, which they picked up, and so they just asked us to redo the resolution with the correct footage.
So it's supposed to be the 85.61?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
said 3.5.
Yep, it says 3.61.
Any
That's
other
it, that's
questions? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve the resolution 2016-14.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2016-14 for the correction request of the annexation of the property.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes. Next on the agenda, approval of 2016-15, approving wastewater sludge disposal in Wisconsin. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an annual resolution that we put together. We have a legal responsibility to properly dispose of sludge. Comes out of the wastewater treatment plant. That sludge is utilized for farmers for fertilizer. It's been becoming more and more difficult to do that in Michigan. There's a Wisconsin farmer that's very close by that is still taking that sludge. And according to the rules in Wisconsin, we need to have this resolution every year authorizing us to allow our wastewater department to do that. So that's resolution 2016-15.
Ray, what's going to happen if and when Wisconsin decides we don't want this anymore? How would we get rid of it in Michigan? I mean, we're not the only ones in this boat.
No, we aren't. There's a process that, like Iron Mountain and Kingsford, you know, it's a higher volume, more customers, more volume. But what they do is they actually have a company that they contract that takes the liquid. You know, what we do is we use the sawdust and we get it down to a water content that we can haul it as almost like a solid. Then it can be applied to the fields. It's a class 2 sludge. So once that either we have one of two options. Either we process it into a class B sludge. It's into a class A, which is basically your fertilizer that you buy in a store. Or we have to switch to having the tankers come in and remove it that way.
Any idea how many gallons tons that we get rid of? Just out of curiosity.
I don't have that number off the top of my head, Lee, but I can surely get it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We have a motion to approve the Resolution 2016-15.
I make a motion for the resolution 2016-15 approving wastewater sludge disposal in Wisconsin.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Approval of Sturgeon Hydro Unit Number 1 inspection.
Okay, this last item, this is a request, we've got Myron Construction into the plant, installing unit number 2, and we're asking that once we get unit 2 installed and commissioned, we're gonna fill the pit and start producing power off of unit 2. Once we do that, we'd like to dewater pit 1 and start our inspection on unit 1, and we'd like to keep Myron there to do that, and so I asked them to give us a price to stay. There's also some work on some bolts and also, well, it's the inspection and basically to do some of that work on the bearings.
How long will that take?
Probably a couple weeks, 2 to 3
So we're gonna
weeks.
make sure that number 2 is running well before we.
Yes,
drain it.
yeah, and they'll be there to help commission unit 2, so
Okay.
we'll be in good shape.
How are we doing water-wise?
We are down, so this is a good time. We're actually, we can dewater, you know, if we can dewater, or we can water up 2, we'll put 2 online, and then we can dewater 1. And we're also working with 3 and 4, some concrete work, so we're gonna have to, we'll probably be soon we'll be running off of 1 pit.
Have we made plans to save that 3,500 for, what do they call
Yes,
it,
we-
dedicated whole watch?
We have a whole watch, and we'll be reimbursed on that through the insurance. Now, on unit number 1, I did not I had them include their own whole watch, since that's not a reimbursable item through the insurance. I mean, we can still, if it helps, we'll be able to, or if we have someone available, they can still be down there and fill that duty, but I wanted them to at least have the price in there.
And this is not an insurance.
This is not an insurance.
And you think that this is a price that's consistent with the work that's being done?
Yes, I believe that this is a price that's consistent.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve the inspection for Hydro Unit Number 1.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Sturgeon Falls Hydro Unit Number 1 inspection for not to exceed $25,850.
Support.
Construction.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
That's our business, and I'll have addresses from the audience. Please state your name and address for the record. And limit your talk to 5 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Lori Turry, and I'm the owner of Turry Transit County at 600 Main Street here in Norway. And I just want to, maybe I misunderstood a little bit earlier when you guys were going through your manifest unit bills, just a little clarification before I start. Mr. McGee had asked about the repeater bill for $3,700. Actually, North Alert paid 1/2. That total bill for the repeater was about $7,500. It was not the third, as Mr. Anderson had implied. The city paid half, and how they allocated among their funds, that's their business, but North Alert did pay half. I paid that bill personally, or wrote that bill for them. Same thing with Mr. Bablani with regards to the tower rental up on the hill. Again, we paid 1/3 through North Alert, 1/3 does go to police, and 1/3 does go to fire, just for a little bit of clarification on my end there. But my main point of address tonight is a point of concern on the utility billing. I've had several people come into my office over the last couple of weeks concerned about their utility bills. And as we started looking at the bills, there was a little bit of alarm, you know, from an accounting standpoint. And I'd like to share with you what happened on my bill personally, and I'm aware of 3 or 4 other March 29th to April 27th. My bill was $329 and change, and on this page 2, you can see I paid that amount in full. And I did that just to show that I did pay the amount in full. The alarming part actually comes on the 3rd page. If you look at the date of the billing, it does run sequential. It runs from April 27th to May the 26th. But the concern is going to be what my beginning balance is. It had changed by over $26, and my adjustment or my payment had changed by the same amount. I paid $329, and this bill only reflects $303 as being applied to my account. Yes, it has a zero balance, but the concern is why the discrepancy. And I've had 3 or 4 people come into my office pointing out this same discrepancy in the billing. Now, from an accounting standpoint, I look at ARs to the postings and everything else, and I'm just curious how the utility fund could have even balanced if you're looking at an accrual of almost $330, a posting of $330, and all of a sudden you lost almost $26 somewhere in translation, and it was a consecutive thing. Like I said, I got 3 or 4 people come into my office. I'm going to let them remain anonymous. I do have copies of their bills also, and their billing changes ranged anywhere from $11 to $18 on that same period. Mine seemed to be a little bit higher, I think, because of the commercial end. But I would really like the city to investigate or try to figure out what had happened in the system, because I had one person be very, very irate and actually even threatened a class action based on the number of utility billings that the city did put out, if they could not get an explanation that they were happy for. And in a point, I can agree a little bit with them. The way this is implied, I overpaid my account, and I should have a credit, but it's not reflected anywhere in there. I just wanted to point this part out to the council. I did question it, and all the comments I got was, well, you have a zero balance forward. Coincidentally, that amount is the exact same amount as this current bill. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or if it has something to do with something internally here, or something with the outside company sending out the billings. Anyone else?
I never caught this. No, but I'm gonna look now.
No one else noticed it on their own billing?
I noticed,
Balance forward that's at zero.
I noticed my bills have been, I got numerous bills with the properties that I own, and I've been billed for internet on a vacant piece of property that, or on a piece of property that was unoccupied, and we didn't even have internet.
So there's some kind of.
And that was $42. That was brought, I did bring that forth today, and it was corrected. But, yeah.
You're one of the few that actually probably look, directly or a little bit scrutinizing the bills. And in actuality, guilty as charged, until this person came in, I looked at my bill, I said zero forward. I mean, I filed my previous bill. It wasn't until I went back and said, oh my God, I see what you're talking about. And then second one came, third one came, and it turned out being went that way. And everyone, like you said, the comment was, well, you got a zero balance.
So you did,
Well,
you did
that's
ask the
not
office?
acceptable.
You did ask the office, and that's what they
I did ask
said?
the office, and I was
Okay.
told I had a zero balance. So, I mean, I understand I have a zero balance, but why don't the numbers flow? And that was the kind of the point I was trying to make.
I'll check.
Would you please?
Oh,
Get back to me? I really appreciate it, because I know there's going to be several concerned people looking at this. Scott being one of them. And, like I said, I'd really like a nice, thorough, explanation as to what had happened, other than a data entry error.
What the experiences that I've had, and I've had several of them since the new billing, is that I was billed for something that I didn't have. Basically internet.
And if I was billed for something I didn't have, I should have a credit on account. If I paid $330 and my bill is $303, I should have a credit, and it's not reflecting that, and that's the point.
Yeah, just looking at your numbers, I mean, the individual numbers don't don't look out of line, but they have to reconcile, and
Well, that's
you
the
should
thing,
have
it's
some
the
kind of accounting.
reconciliation on the city end, that's the
Right,
concern is.
right.
It's not on my billing end, I know where the discrepancy, and the problem's gonna be internally within the city utility fund.
Right, I mean, it has to reconcile.
Yes,
And
I
so,
agree.
you know, whether maybe they're just not showing you on your bill that it reconciled, but it has to reconcile in the system, otherwise you said it's not balanced. So it's gotta have a reconciliation in there. I'll check and find out and let you know.
I would greatly appreciate
Yeah.
that.
And I realize that you're saying that this system's only been in for 4 months, but I have talked to the girls in this. This system has not been easy for them. They're working hard to get it straightened out, and I'm glad you brought this to our attention, and, we'll look into it. But I have to say, this system hasn't been the easiest system to figure out.
And I've heard that also.
Yeah.
That the system has not been easy, it's just a matter of the fear of multiple people seeing the same thing that we're seeing and now questioning an already fragile system, how about that?
Right, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention and see what we can do to resolve that.
I'm sure it was my 5 minutes.
I'm not keeping track.
When I did question it though, Ray, it wasn't our girls here that made the mistake. When I questioned it today, it was the system, one of the girls, yes, it was,
That you got charged for something you shouldn't have been charged
yes,
for.
some of the, yes. It was
That's
right over
curious.
here, it was right on the corner right here.
Yeah.
And it was an upstairs apartment that was vacant, and, I typically don't pay TV or internet, the tenants pay for that, and it was in my name for a short time. and-
I'll ask that question too, because I'm not sure how, I don't know why, whoever we send it to, it's a file, and that shouldn't change. All they do is print it.
So I don't think it was our girls here.
No, but I'll
I
check
just
it out.
think it's the system. The system isn't the best system, in my book, my opinion.
I'll just wait for the call back, and hopefully I can get it resolved within, I don't know if a week would be reasonable, knowing it's a short week this week and you're coming back.
Well,
crazy.
we should be able to find out within the next couple of days.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, in fact, tomorrow, I won't be here tomorrow. Will you be able to check with that one?
I can, but Mary Pollard is our city treasurer, is also out of the office till the 12th.
And that's-
But I can call down there and I can, I'll do what I can.
I know
Well, we
before the
start
next
here,
billing
just start
cycle
back here.
comes, it would be nice to have it,
We'll talk.
at least cleared up or, clarified as to what had transpired.
Did you go back and look at your other bills? Is this the only time that this happened?
Yes, I did go back, and I actually had my bills from when the city was printing to the change over in the billing format. And all of them was, except for the very first one, when they changed from the billing over, where they just kind of forced a open balance. Everyone balanced forward except for this one.
Just this one, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Take note of that, Trish, too.
Okay.
And like she said, too, Mary is our main one on this, so hopefully we'll be able
And
to.
normally I would talk to Mary, and her and I have been kind of crossing paths between her being out of town and me being out of town and stuff like that. So-
But even the billing system that we have now, when somebody moves in a rental or out in between the billing cycle, they have to generate the bill here. So we're generating some of the bills still here
Oh, we generate
in the
it here.
mid-month. So I mean, the system is,
Well,
I don't know.
just, there's a number, quite a few communities using this system, and they swear by it. There's maybe one or two others that have had some issues, especially in startup, but they all swear by it. They love it. So, I constantly talk with WPPI, who encouraged us to go in this direction, and they're trying to help us out as well. And I wanted them to step it up and try and, get these things resolved. But it seems like from month to month, we fix one thing, and then there's something else that pops up, and then something else pops up. The way that these things are worked on, there's some computers, it's so intertwined that it's like you get one thing and then all of a sudden something else pops up. But I can tell you that there are a lot of happy communities that use this. So I'm not sure if it's, why we are so unique, but we're trying to figure it out.
You said it's just it's a concern
Yeah.
that really needs to be addressed for everyone. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Laurie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
And the take-home message would be everybody should check their bills out there. Tell your friends to check their bills, make sure everything balances. Anybody else from the audience like to bring up any issues? If not, council comments. Mr. Pop, do you have any comments?
I got a question for Ray. On our notes, Recreation Department raised feed mill for the $450 for the gates, purchased to replace the damaged ones out at Marion Park that were not for the 125 that I had asked last meeting. That was from that Nichols having auto come in there and cut, right?
Yeah.
So why are we why is the city the ones replacing that and not Nichols?
Well, I think when you looked at the operation, I think Otto did everything correct. And I think what happened was that the tree that actually came down was not, I mean, it was so rotten that
Yeah,
because
you
of the
explained that
activity.
to me, but he
it
should
came
still
down.
have awareness of his surroundings. You know, that is an accident. It was an accident that happened. But I don't know, okay, if it was an accident, why were we the ones covering his accident? You know, I don't understand that part.
I could go back and talk to Rob. You know, it's ultimately Rob that was
He had
responsible.
auto come for him, right? 'Cause
Right, he had
we
auto
had-
for him, right.
Yeah, that was just my question. I don't know why we would have to cover that, because you do have to know your surroundings. Whenever you're
Right.
doing any type of work or anything, you gotta know.
I would agree if you're cutting property, that you're responsible for any damage you've done, so.
I agree too. I mean, it would be
I'll
no
go back
different
and
than
check
if,
with Rob.
it would be no different if somebody was digging a water line in town and they hit a power line.
Yeah,
They have to cover it.
yeah.
And
I mean, it is unfortunate, because like you said,
Yeah,
that tree
it's
was
an
dead. It hit the ground, it popped up, and the branches came off, and but it's still, it's an accident, you know, and you gotta cover it for the accident. Another thing I'd like to say is I see construction started on Brown Street, so if people could, you know, be aware of that and give those construction workers a safe work environment. And another thing I'd like to say is that 125 was great this weekend. A lot of help. I had fun out there. I enjoyed it. I was out there working and helping as much as I could with the committee. I loved it. They put on a great thing for the city of Norway.
Mrs. Brew, any comments?
Yeah, I also would like to comment on the 125. I just would like to thank all the volunteers that were out there and spent the time to put this together for the city. Seen a lot of people, same people every day. I mean, I can't say I don't have enough time because we'd be on TV all night to personally thank everybody who put time into this, but pretty proud of the people who did this and stepped up and got this done for the city. So I'd just like to thank them, and also thank the people who got the parade together, and thank the fire department for putting on a great display for the fireworks yesterday. So thanks, everybody.
Mr. Babalani, any comments?
I got a couple. I'd like to go along with the other two that had expressed the thanks. I think we had a real good weekend in town, and I appreciated everything that took place. I do think that the golf course, I know Lee had told me that there was a sign there, but I kind of feel bad that the road was blocked off, because the sign must have been down when I went by, because I didn't see it. But all in all, I appreciate everybody's help, and I know everybody worked hard, and it really showed. It come out nice. I got a couple concerns. I'd like to see some shouldering being done along Valley View. It's washing out. I know that now the 125 is done, and maybe they have a little bit more time. And I know we had bought a shouldering machine. There's quite a few different spots where it needs to be done. I'd like to see us address on the bottom of the Cable Hill on 16th, I think it's 16th where we're gonna be paving, that storm sewer is filling up heavy with gravel. I don't know what we can do up there for short-term fix, but I think we need to do something. I was gonna ask Ray if he did some checking on 16th Avenue for the asphalting. Did we come to an agreement on any of that stuff? Did you go for bids for that?
We added that back in
Added that
the
back
bids,
in?
yeah.
Okay. Billboards, the billboards that are on the city property, has anything else been done? I know I watched your memos the last time you had something in there. I'm hoping that that gets resolved.
We're gonna resolve that next couple weeks,
Okay.
before the next meeting.
When are you anticipating the Coleman wetland permit? Does that usually take 6 months if we get that permit for the mirror?
For the parking lot? Or-
Yes.
That one probably will be this fall, by the time we get that.
Okay. I'd like to see us do something. I talked to Ray about Susie Varda's road, and Ray had some quotes on that from a few years back. I'd like to see us open that up and maybe see if we can resolve that problem. That's all I got.
Lee?
Yeah, again, thanks to everybody involved in Norway 125, and a special thanks to the Corps personnel. I don't want to mention their names because I might forget one of them and they might have hurt feelings. And again, thanks to all the local sponsors, which was a very, very big boost. And I know it was very, very stressful for all these workers, but there were glitches in the system, but everybody did the best they could. I said hundreds of volunteers, which worked out real good. And as far as I know, there were just a couple incidents where the police were involved, but they handled it very quickly and very professionally. They did a real good job. So hats off to the officers that were out there every night. That's all I have.
And that was the Norway Police?
Yep.
I'd like to point out that that area is now part of the city. A year or two ago, we wouldn't be able to patrol out there. No other questions? I had a couple of questions. First, I'd like to comment on the 125. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody, and maybe Mr. Carlson could express the view of the volunteers, since he was one of the major volunteers. My question was about the building on the old Leshnick farm. There's 60 acres for sale up there, and I've been told by people that I would think highly of their opinion, and they're quite adamant that that land is unbuildable because it's too near the bat caves. But it's my impression that if anyone buys it, they can build on it, that our water and sewer go right up to the property, that theoretically anyway, they would be able to attach to the city services on that property. Is that correct, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, the water and sewer is relatively close to the east. The bat cave is on the city property, that's for sure. And the area that's on the private property is probably in similar shape, so you're not going to build very close to the bat cave. You know,
Well,
you're not gonna be
there's
able to.
fields right there.
Yeah, but the bat cave is over to the east of that, so.
So my point was that
Yeah.
that is a buildable site then.
Yeah, I haven't personally gone up there, but that's what I'm told.
Okay. Well, it's just that several people were quite adamant that you could not build there because the bat caves were there. I see that we cleaned up the annexation down by Hanbury Lake. I'd like to again see us annex our gravel pit. We have 40 acres, which is right on the city line. I've had several people tell me that it's a no-brainer that we should annex it in, and I guess I don't understand why we haven't. So if there's any other council members who would agree with that, I'd like to see that on the agenda next meeting. That's my
I guess
comment.
I would like to say a couple things. Doc, being you brought up the property up on the hill by the Bat Cave, I guess everybody in the council knows how I feel. I don't think we should get into the real estate market. We have,
Well, I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying it is buildable. That was my only
Okay.
question tonight.
Okay.
Is it buildable? And it's for sale, and like I said, our city utilities are right there. And I'm not suggesting at this meeting that the city get into the real estate business, but if somebody wanted to, it is buildable land. I think it's got a great view from there. So I just wanted to clarify that anyway. Trish, do you have any comments, or? Mr. Carlson, any comments, or?
I was going to keep quiet tonight, Doc, but since you prompted me a bit, I'll just echo the comments of council already made. In the weeks leading up to the 125th birthday for the city of Norway, I asked a couple times for help with volunteers as I was working with the group putting this event on, and I can say that the city of Norway residents responded. Local residents throughout Iron Mountain and Kingsford responded. We had a number of volunteers out there. And frankly speaking, I think it's safe to say that the city of Norway should be very proud about its event. It was a well-attended event. It was done as efficiently as possible. As Lee mentioned, it was interesting to see some of the things behind the scenes. And as Mr. Berkland commented, he said everything seems very smooth, very efficient, very professional on the outside. I'm sure on the backside it's a little more chaotic, and it was. But you had a great team of folks that were working to overcome any glitches, overcome any issues that came up, problem solved throughout the week, and every issue that came up was addressed and handled as fast as possible. And you know, these folks that volunteered, they hadn't done this before. We took some instruction from our forefathers and that put them on in the past, and I would suggest that the folks that were involved did the best job they could, and the people that came out to celebrate and support the event was very appreciated. The sponsors were very appreciated, and frankly, I think the city should pat itself on the back. It was a great presentation for the city of Norway. All of the artists commented on how amazingly friendly the people of Norway were, how amazingly inviting all the citizens were in the area, and each of the artists left with a smile, an indication of appreciation, and a request that if this was done again in the future, that they were invited back. And that meant a lot to the group and the committee, and also the support and the comments and the thanks that were given by the people that attended it. It meant a lot, and that's why everybody did it, was for the community, for the kids. And one last thing, that the bounce house folks had made a comment to my wife and to some of my family about how the children that were on the bounce houses from our community were some of the most well-behaved children that they had seen from a lot of their travels. And I thought that meant a lot, because again, the whole reason I think that Ray approached this group about doing this a while back was because they wanted to give back to the community and for the next generation and for the kids. And to hear that puts it in perspective. So, you know, I would suggest and would say on behalf of the folks that were involved in this, thank you for all the support. And I hope that once the financials are done, we'll have a report to the city council here in the future once all the bills are paid and the committee has an idea of how things turned out after the weekend and all the great weather we had. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson, any comments?
Well, I think Grant summed it up from a committee's perspective for the 125. You know, we were probably going into it, our number one concern at that point going in was the volunteer and making sure that we had enough people to support the event. And that last week, it was tremendous. There were a lot of people that came in. Again, too many to thank each one right now, because, you know, like always, you miss somebody. So everybody, you know who you are. If you helped out, thank you so much. We put a lot of hours in, a lot of hours. So we're still recovering, I think. But I had a lot of comments about how appreciative and how much the fun people had. So that made it worthwhile. A couple things that were brought up tonight. You know, Dr. Hayes mentioned about the annexing the gravel pit. I mean, I need to know, I'm going to need to know from you all if, you know, that's what you want me to do. It's not hard for us to put it together.
So. Again next time.
I mean, do you want it on the agenda? Or?
We can always turn it down if people don't want it, but I just requested, that's all I requested.
Okay.
I mean, my feelings are on it. I don't think we should rock the boat with the township. I mean, you know, if we're gonna annex something in, let's annex something in that's gonna really help us, like we did out by Spring Valley Ranch. I don't think, you know, this property, obviously, I don't believe is gonna be for sale anytime soon. I mean, it's just a police patrolling issue, but I don't think we should rock the boat with the township. I think we should try to stay on the good up and up with them. And if we need something that we really need, then go for it. But that's how I feel.
We have a motion to adjourn?
I got a couple of.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The next item that was brought up, Mark brought it up about that storm project that we bid out. I think we bid it out actually last fall. This is prior to you guys getting on the council. And it was a bad bidding environment. The price was quite a bit higher than the engineer's estimate, and the council had decided to, to decline the bids and rebid it at a later date. We had, and it's engineered. It could go out tomorrow on a bid, so it's that, that far along. I will say that, we went through this quite a bit last year about doing that in-house. That's an 18-inch concrete line on a very, very steep slope. From a safety standpoint and environmental standpoint, that was not something in-house, that we had the equipment nor the expertise to handle that kind of a project. So that's why we bid it out. And then we are also taking the storm all the way from the top of 14th down and then to the lake. So it's not just going to end at the bottom of the hill. It's going to actually take it away and then and fix up that road. So that's all part of that. So if you would like for us to move forward on that, I just need to have that direction.
Personally, I think that this last rain, there was ruts over a foot deep up there. And the bid pack, or the engineering has already been done, so it really isn't gonna cost us nothing, right, Ray, to throw it out there on bids?
No, I mean, they still have some construction engineering, when we do the project, but as far as the bidding of it and everything, that's all part of the.
So it doesn't
cycle.
cost us anything to see if that bid was extremely high, like you said, or if it's, if it's gonna be untouchable still. It's not gonna cost us anything just to get the bid, right?
I'm all right with that if we.
Put it out on bids.
Put it
Put it out on bids.
Yeah, it definitely, work has to be done up there. But I want to say it was almost like double what the engineering bid
It
was,
was
just
double.
what they come in and.
Yeah, it was though.
That was and that's why we decided to just hold off on it, But that is a mess, every hard rain.
Well, we're bidding the local street project this month, so we'd have the two of them together, and maybe they would take that into account as well, when
Since they're there.
because there's some paving on it too, so we'll see how so we'll put it out there. I'm just gonna end with, again, Norway 125. Follow up from what Grant was saying about the folks from Nashville. There was one comment that really struck me when they were, again, thanking us and appreciative of the community, not the committee, the community, and how much fun they had, is one comment, they said they were going back to, and I can't remember which one, if it was Hodges or Tippin, but they said they were going back to Nashville and telling Nashville that Norway is a place to play. That they had so much fun, that it was such a great venue, and that's such a good time that if it comes up, that they're telling their folks in Nashville that this is a great place to come up. And I remember hearing that, but I thought that was quite a striking comment from those folks. The last thing is that, we had quite an effort on US 8. A little rocky at first, but I just want to really thank our officers. Our crew did a great job, but the sheriff's department came out and the state police came out. And I really, really appreciate the multi-jurisdictional effort in working it out. And when we deal with this isn't always as smooth, because, everybody has their turf. But this is, they came together, and I thought, I appreciated all the efforts from everybody, so.
And actually, I think the timing was great with the signs going up that they're gonna be working on US 8.
Yeah, that.
All of a sudden,
MDOT
there's
had that
workers
plan.
ahead, they got stopped,
Yeah, and we were a little surprised when they put them up, but then we realized that when we got our permit, that they did it on purpose, because it's just extra signage. That's all they wanted to do, is put the extra signage out there, so that was pretty good planning on their part too. So anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Otherwise, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Babalani,
Yes.
Dr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.